Yeah, this one feels like it could really have some legs. Hellraisers, as we said, a team that we know has potential. We've seen them do it time and time again, but at the moment, struggling to find that form, an opportunity against Saw to maybe build something up, maybe start to get back into this season and maybe throw a spanner in those playoff hopes. It is going to be Hellraisers starting over on the CT side of things as well. Decent amount of utility picked up. It looked like Saw initially were going for the fast rush, but they've saved themselves the HE, and instead they're going to start making their way around towards the trophy room. He says, hoping Dean is here. But it's going to be Gospodarov. First pick comes out. Arky goes down. He's getting hyper aggressive as well. Actually backs off in towards the vents with that man advantage. It will be the force rotation down towards the B-bomb site for the CT side, but Kalinka with that CZ75, the $500 investment working out absolutely perfectly. Stododo in a very advanced position, but actually gives away his position with the shot. Flarich will deal with him, and as Roman just do find some trades, they've got to try and get down to that bomb. Another frag. JM low on HP. It's going to be Flarich alone on the bomb site, but still doing so much work. And Problem will clean things up. It's awkward for HR, to say the least. It's messy around the edges, but they do get their first round on the board. Interesting choice from the guys on Saw. Of course, without that bomb plant, no real economy to work with whatsoever. 5 Deagles, a couple of flashes, 1 Molotov. Good amount of armor behind them as well, opting for the full head armor across the board. Nobody really taking the sacrifice for the extra 350. There's a slightly, should we call it speculative buy comes out from HR, but JM's going to make it work early, or lame, I believe is the correct pronunciation. Muterus goes down. These MP9s an opportunity to do so much work. Dropping down, Problem unable to find the shot, but Gospodarov there on the scout, finally having some impact with these scoped weapons early. Gospodarov forced back on his angle. Got to reset here. Flarich does find another, however, backing his man up. Rome will finally open the account of Saw. It's just these 2 remaining players, Roman and Just, try and see what little they can get. They're hunkered down in hell, at least for now. Flarich is toying with it. Not going to happen. Flarich shuts him down. Last man alive, Just. A 1v4 to contend with. Has 28 HP. Of course, only the scout really viable to be saved. I mean, it gives them a little bit more bite to match their bark in the next round, but not the greatest of weapons to be holding on to. Looks like he is going to satisfy himself with it, however. Falling back deep in towards the spawn to try and save what little he can afford. HR going to get their second round on the board in decent style as well. 4 players kept up, always critical. We spoke about it in the pregame, building up your economy over on the CT side of things, giving yourselves the opportunity to build some kind of a half at the very least. Not going to be too interested on the hunt either, not really looking to commit to it whatsoever. So HR going to get their second round on the board, just the scout and the deagle saved. And I do believe we're going to have my man Pilly coming in soon to give me a little bit of a cover here, because it looks like Dean's got some tech problems.
Unfortunate. All right. Well, does look like Saw just going to save around that deagle that they saved. Obviously, can't go for the full buy in the next round, so cash not going to be too much of an issue other than just having to go down to a bit of a lackluster weapon. But like you did mention, Hellraiser's doing pretty well there. Actually, economy is all sitting up around above 2k, which is pretty important. CT side of Nuke, you want to be able to have that full util, shut down the rushes. Molotov's pretty important as well as that supportive util. Just see if Saw can chip away a few of these guns at the CT side and try to put some chinks in the armor of that pretty solid CT economy we've got building up here.
Yeah, going to start to struggle losing men early, however. Already Muterus removed from the equation. They do manage to get Arky some armor behind this dropped scout, though, so potentially some damage available on the board, something to try and work with as they sneak a couple of players down in towards Secret, just dry swinging into this. The peeking auto shotgun at range for Kalinka. We'll be able to bring him back for one, but still being mopped up all too easily. Flaric taking out Stadodo, and Arky in a really awkward spot for the scout, really, down in those vents. Not a lot he can do with it. They're stuck in this angle. Double peek comes in, and Lame gonna clean it up. Rome, just the last man. Only a P250 to work with. Any frags at this point would be fantastic, but it's not going to happen. Absolutely flawless. 3-0. All 5 players kept alive. I think one other thing that's come back to life is Dean's internet. You back with me, buddy?
Yes, I am. A random power surge unfortunately knocked me out right as the pistol round was starting. There was about to be some shots fired, and yeah, it just all dropped. But I'm back. I missed a few rounds, clearly, and it's been a good start for HR. This is what we were talking about them needing here on the early moments of their CT side. So it is good to see.
Gives them a very solid platform to build off of. And saw almost off the back of those opening failures, have tried to get aggressive initially, sent a good amount of util down. Stadodo toying with the idea of event drop. Lame in a fantastic position to deny, and Gospodarov actually finding the pick outside, just goes down with the AUG. Arky, nice response. Through the smoke, he will find at least one, but look at the aggression. Flaric and Kalinka, they're just going to take lobby single-handedly, and that XM is working far more than it has any right to. Muteris left wondering what on earth has happened. Where have all his teammates got to? And that lobby crunch, absolutely flawless.
Yeah, love it. Have those weaker weapons, you may as well give something risky a go, and it ends up working out fantastically, despite initially some good trades even back from Arky, as we've seen through the smoke. What can Muteris do? Realistically, very, very little. There's no way he's able to move back in here. I believe the bomb is still down in the lobby as well, so very little chance of even being able to recover that one, but we'll see. Can he take maybe some weapons away? The issue was this was basically the bonus round from HR. They had money left over either way. They had some weaker weapons. Now they've upgraded onto AKs, and 4-0 for Hellraisers. This is exactly what they needed. A reminder, this is the map choice, obviously, of Saw. Train up next. You were saying, obviously, it's not like a certain win by any means for Hellraisers, but if you were to look at what maps they could realistically pick with Mirage being banned out, it really was their only other choice.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they can bring an early advantage into this first map, then there's a chance of upsetting all of the caster predictions and putting some real pressure on Saw, who look to go quickly now, trying to up the pace. Kalinka traded 1-for-1. That A-bomb site looking just a little bit vulnerable, but Flaric does well to stabilize things. Damage on the board as well as these saved AKs start to mop things up, and what looks so promising initially just falls apart at the seams. Problem and Flaric good for the cleanup. Saw not even getting that bomb plant down. I don't think they've actually managed to get the bomb plant down at all in the opening 5 rounds. And that's going to start to cause them a problem, right? That extra cash injection not coming through. CT side looking well established as well. I mean, Flaric, 159 ADR, 8 KD. You can't ask much more.
Yeah, what a start. Still early days, of course, but you have Flaric showing up, Kalinka, and, well, everyone doing their job. Gospodarov, once he's able to get going properly here on the op as well, I'm excited to see what he can deliver, especially, obviously, once Stadodo has one to actually challenge him. The 5-0, it is a good time for Saw to try and calm things down, have a little bit of a pause. That quicker rush on A didn't work out. They had pistols and such only in play in that previous round, so focus on, of course, getting back to life now as the guns are in play. And, well, I wouldn't expect any sort of crazy aggression in towards the lobby like we've seen in that previous gun round. But as I mentioned, with the op available for Gospodarov, maybe you can have him wrap around towards Secret, try and challenge outside, which is an area that you mentioned Saw love to take control of and just really restrict to make things difficult for the CTs. But for now, anyway, nothing too crazy. Default, a few players around lobby, 2 players, I believe, holding for outside aggression, and you do have Lame moving down towards Secret, I'm pretty sure there, so they will have someone ready to hold that crossover. I believe you had the help of the op around Hell as well. But a slower round overall, not really too much being done in the initial seconds until you do see Saw starting to move towards outside. And they had done a pretty decent job at pressuring around A, also running down a few of those nades, keeping those players in towards the bomb site, and, well, now giving themselves the chance to cross over. As I mentioned, though, Lame is ready for it, but no, apparently he is not prepared enough. Muteris rips off his head, and now there's only one more player currently actually ready to defend on B, and that's going to be problem. And, well, he needs to be one for these Saw players if they want to be able to have a chance of continuing this flawless start in Nuke. Or on Nuke.
Multiple kills, pretty much a requirement at this point. Pot flash in from Stododo won't land, but now problem his position known. Wallbang's even attempting to come in, and he can't find the second frag. That was critical. Arky with the trade, and you do wonder for the CT side of HR almost immediately if they start to consider the save. They are a man down, toying with the idea of going for the ramp control, but pretty quickly deciding it's not going to be worth the attempt. A good amount of economy built up on that CT side. 3 rifles, if they can hold on to all of them, will form the backbone of the buy into the next. So happy to ship that first round the way of Store. And that's sort of much more what I was expecting from the Portuguese roster, was a nice hard outside execute. Smokes come out, no opening aggression really seen at all. Just relying on your fundamentals, right? Taking that early map control and then piling the pressure on in the 1v1. So nice trade onto Lame, down in towards Secret, opens things up. And from there, it's just trading efficiently. So they will get their first round on the board. Going to need a few more of those, though, to make this T side of Nuke viable.
Oh yeah, but it's still relatively early days. As you had said, they didn't really do much in the initial moments in terms of actually fighting on A and stuff, but they did kind of just put a little bit of pressure, and especially considering the aggressive plays they had brought towards that upper bomb site in the previous rounds, it just kind of kept it in the back of the mind of HR and didn't allow them to rotate as much as they probably would have wanted to. Either way, saw hit fantastic entries as they were moving down, as we've seen right there. Despite a bit of a hold from Problem, it was not enough. Oh, a lot of them they're all grouped around lobby right now. I think you have one player up at the top throwing the flashes over. Kalinka completely blinded. He couldn't make anything happen, but Flarage, he's again able to step up. You mentioned this man, he had a 159 ADR a couple rounds ago. He might still be adding to that. Obviously gone now after the 2 frags he found in this round, but he's given his teammates a big chance in what could at least be a retake that wouldn't have been possible otherwise. Well, they have quite a bit of time. The bomb's only gone down. A few nades as well that they use to start moving in, and that's actually going to hold all of the players back off in lobby. If you see the up from outside main catching the squeaky push as well, then there's not really much that they'd be able to do. So this is actually pretty difficult for the T's to hold. Oh, hang on though. Stododo's flanking around, and they have no idea. So much time is being wasted.
This could be huge. He's going to pull the trigger though. Gets himself the first and the second. Planter trying to go for it inside the smoke. Not going to happen. Diffuse does not come through. Muterus there to back his teammates up. But yeah, I think as you said, those 2 Molotovs looked like they were going to buy all the time in the world for the CT side. That big flank really became critical for Saw. To build credit to Stododo, he does well to pull it off. So HR, strong 5-0 start. Now starting to look a little bit wobbly. And if this buy goes south, if they lose these rifles, potentially starting to get into some of those economic troubles we talked about on the CT side. But they're going to try and counter that early. Looking for some fast aggression. Nice chip damage through the smoke from Muterus. But he's still going to be forced off of this angle. Gospodarov with a nice position. Teammate backing him up top of red. They're going to have to look elsewhere, and it looks like they want to try and put some pressure over towards the B round. Parky taking the early peek, finds nothing, and Problem manages to lock it down for 2. The trade absolutely had to come through there. He's still isolated and will finally be dealt with, but he's bought his team the man advantage and done a lot more damage at that.
Yeah, and I believe they're aware that pretty much all of the players are around this area for Saw. So in theory, could be pushing in behind and taking control elsewhere just to confirm that, but no, nothing too crazy. Flarich rotates down. The other 3 players still focus towards upper, and well, Flarich is going to have to hang on here. It makes sense, though. If you're to leave anyone at the moment solo in one of these bomb sites, he is the man that you want. Here we go. Nades coming in. Confirmed at least 2 players are going to start moving towards B right now in through ramp, and well, so far, Flarich has yet to spot any of them. Ends up getting spammed a little bit as the shoulder shows, and he's not able to come out with a frag. Further damage, though, is connected, as you had said, added to what had been done initially by Problem on ramp. And well, with Muterus and Roman both incredibly low on health, I was going to say this could still easily be picked apart by the CTs, and that is the case. Kalinka now left in the one-on-one. He doesn't know the exact position of Muterus, who's moved up above on the rafters and as well at this point managed to tuck himself in pretty securely here. Oh, but he might be flanked as well. I don't think he expects Kalinka to go back around, and there we go. It is going to be HR's round. They head up 6-2, and they fire back. They stop Saw from being able to just run away, and as you said, potentially breaking the economy of HR off of that round if they were to lose it as well. So that was a big find, but it was an incredibly close round, so everything will be invested once again just to come back in on the buy. And Saw do have enough money to come straight back onto the rifles to get the up on Stododo. They're not going to be lacking there, so they have the chance to potentially break the CTs completely. Big hold by Problem.
Yeah, did a fantastic job there just to find those 2 frags. I mean, a 1-for-1's all you can really expect of him. Finding the second and the damage onto the 3rd man pretty much makes that B retake viable in its entirety. A little bit of chaos gets Saw at least a bomb plant, not something we normally associate with this T side on Nuke from them, but it works out most of the way, just not quite finding the conversion again. And Hellraisers, I think, putting up a little more resistance than perhaps
Ooh,
Saw
they
were
got the drop.
expecting over on the CT side. Managed to get Arky in, though. That drop. Oh, no. Gospodarov, no idea at all. Arky has just snuck his way down the vent drop. So sneaky. In fact, I didn't notice it. Dean, the only man in any server who spotted that one out. And with a second frag from Mutrus on outside, this round very quickly is falling apart for HR. Two players committed to the A site hold, not really in positions to rotate away either. It's going to be very difficult for them to hold on to this one.
Well, hang on. Flarich is still alive. He's gone ahead and brought himself up 11-3 now. Problem also, the man who was one of the heroes in that previous round here that could still contribute, but Flarich, he's gone aggressive. There's actually two players around lobby, but they've just begun to back away, so he ends up catching pretty decent timing to take the control for himself, but he's not really getting the info that they need because of the fact that they have this man disadvantage. They're looking to try and stack things up, and well, although they will start moving some players back down towards B, it's taken a little longer to get that info. Although Saw themselves are only crossing secret now, so it's still going to be a few seconds before they're ready to get the bomb on towards the site as well. It is really, for now, just Arky holding and waiting to see if anyone has a misplay on towards that CT side for HR. Okay, interesting peek with the knife out. I don't know how he managed to survive there. It looked like a free kill pretty much for Flarich, and it could have been what turned the round in their favor. Instead, now it is going to be Saw just bursting onto the bomb site as they group up. A couple of flashes tossed in, nothing really too special with the nades. They didn't really have them left, I don't think. So yeah, they just needed some strong flashes and some strong headshots, and that's what they deliver. Now the economy is just ruined of Hellraisers. You have Kalinka even looking at pretty much a double eco. Yeah, he is. He'll only get 1900 in the next round, so they're going to buy up into this one. Meaning Saw, if they win this, 4 rounds, a 5th then off the back of it, as it would have to be that eco. And although Saw wouldn't want to end on 5 rounds, it's a fantastic recovery from the initial 5-0 they were facing.
Certainly is, and yeah, I mean, Saw walked straight into the gamble stack there, right? All 3 players for HR down on that B-bomb site, and they still managed to make it stick. Nice opening damage from Mutrus onto Gospodarov again. Not having a blinding start, a few missed shots on that AWP pressure. Like it is having an effect, and he really needs to start stepping up in these kind of rounds, right? You're reliant on that scout to be getting chip damage, to be bringing players to within that 1-shot radius to the chest of the Deagle. Flarich on the XM, the only other upgrade, but you can't expect too much of it at range. It really does start to drop off rapidly, and with Saw taking early control, pretty much uncontested down the ramp towards B, it's going to be Problem all on his own to try and hold off for as long as possible. Spots the opening head. I think they know his position, though, and he's not going to find the early connection. That will spell his demise. Arky opening up this B-bomb site, and now the CTs really have a decision to make. Do they even want to commit to a retake scenario? They've got 1 smoke, no defuse kits at all, and it looks like the call's been made before the numbers have even been punched in. They're going to be happy to hold on to those 4 upgraded pistols, rifles, even a shotgun in the equation. Just try and give themselves something to work with in the next round. I mean, it's not the worst circumstance in the world. At least they do bring some firepower forward to the next, but in all reality, you're probably going to see Saw putting a 5th on the board off the back of this.
Yeah, as we'd expected. You mentioned at least they have a little bit to try and counter it, but it's not the full buy. That's the issue. It'll just be whatever they save here. They don't have the money to really invest anything else behind it. There's not pistols on either of those players, the scout or the shotgun, to drop over the Problem, so you'll probably just leave him on towards that default pistol. But I mean, there's a chance. A few kills at least should be coming in. You don't want to let that economy of Saw build up to a position where you have no chance of breaking them throughout the rest of the half either. So yeah, we'll see whether they can at least make it a costly one. Keep that economy modest as well. That's what Saw obviously have been able to do to Hellraisers. We said it can be a real struggle once the economy starts to break on the CT side here of Nuke. Things can just very quickly spiral out of control, and it has certainly started to happen. I'm waiting to see what Gospodarov can do with that scout. Where's he got a position at the moment? I believe just towards the garage, so nothing too crazy. Arky's actually got his way down the vent again, but not nearly as cleanly this time, and I believe at least the info was found. And, well, Muther is also being tagged up on outside. Suddenly those pistols can become a lot more dangerous in this position. You have 2 players incredibly low. Unfortunately, you've lost Kalinka. But Saw at this point, I think I would realize that they do need to try and play this together, at least secure trades from this point on. And look at this from Hellraisers. Oh. Another lobby crunch. It's not going to be anywhere near as successful as what we've seen from them on the first gun round, as not a single casualty is to be taken for Saw. despite a few of the players being brought down onto the brink of death pretty much. But yeah, they hang on, they get that 5th round, they don't drop anyone, as we said. Now they have a great economy actually behind. The lowest you're seeing is about 7,000, probably a little bit lower when the nades come back in, but there's still plenty there for the boys to come back through. So it needs to be Hellraisers taking 2 to 3 rounds in a row. And at that point, then maybe they could still have the 10 to 5 at the halftime alive. I think that's going to be their goal right now.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can realistically expect of them at this point. Early start was incredibly successful, but we always expected they'd have something to say on their T side of Nuke, and they're really starting to bring themselves back into it now. Spadorov, I mean, you hate to keep bringing him up, but the impact's just not quite there when he's picked up the AWP, this time down on the rifle as that CT economy really starts to creak under the strain. Limited util across the board, and they know just how to take advantage of that. Smokes towards outside, baiting out some util, taking the early map control, forcing the proactive rotation of Lame. Playing around secret this time on the headshot angles, down those ramps in towards the B bomb site, looking to have as much impact as possible. But there's a second set of smokes coming over the top, almost faking the idea of late rotation, and they're actually going to take advantage of it, clearing their way through the garage. The flank in towards Hell certainly looking like a possibility. And this is the problem. Lack of util for the CT side. They're trying to hold on to it for the late round. It means they've got to be proactive. They've got to take information, and it's going to be Gospodarov and Lame trying to do just that. Pushing up through secret, potentially a timing on the cards, but Rome is sat eagle-eyed. Gospodarov will go down early. Second man into the crosshair, dealt with in a split second, and once again, it's falling apart for HR. 4 frags in quick succession, leaving Kalinka all alone, make it a flawless round for Saw. And as we level things out, it's going from bad to worse for HR.
Well, that one was a smooth one from Saw. I like the idea from Hellraisers getting up and around and trying to get that flank on from Secret once they didn't see the push coming down specifically. But yeah, just being destroyed. Saw, as you said, a very methodical team. They're going to cover all their bases as they're going in with those strategies. It's something they'll have dry ran in practice many, many times, and they're just not going to be overlooking those basic positions. So you need shots being connected by Hellraisers, and we're not really getting it just to be playing at the moment. It should be 7 to 6 here for Saw, and at that point already having a fantastic T side. If they manage to add anything else on top of that, then it's just going to be very difficult for HR to try and actually recover from. And I'm not expecting much here in this round. Maybe a couple of kills can be found, but even then, that just doesn't matter because the economy is there for the rest of the half for Saw no matter what.
I think the best possible circumstance here is get and save a couple of rifles, right? Grab a couple of AKs off of this T side, some damage on the board, sure.
Oh.
A save would be even better. Lame, though, going to open things up, finds himself the second outside, and all of a sudden, this round looks so viable. Lame finding himself the third, can't quite connect the fourth man, but the damage surely done. Kalinka there to back his teammate up. And as soon as we are writing HR out of this round, they have brought themselves back in. Aggression sure to follow as Gospodarov pushing up. Has support as well. Problem close behind. Spray down initially good for Arky, though. Brings it back into the 1v2. Problem his next issue in towards the garage, and he's got a flank coming all the while. He's spotted both of these men out, but he needs to isolate a fight, and he knows it. He's trying to bait these men in. Flarich now recovers himself an AK as well, and it's going to be the Deagle. Of course it is. Problem finds HR, the miracle round. And now that CT side, I mean, I said it'd be great if they could save a couple of rifles. They've won the round and grabbed themselves 2 as well. It's so clean from Lame outside.
I love the zoom.
And it makes the round so much more viable.
Yeah, the zoom giving us a little bit more insight on how quite precise he was with the Deagle. Yeah, but I was saying damage wouldn't be enough, but yeah, winning the round, that's always going to help you. It still doesn't really do anything to the economy here for the last couple of rounds, unfortunately, on the side of Saw. So you have to go through these gun rounds once again, but it gives them the chance for potentially 9 to 6 at the halftime. He saw the drop, but he just couldn't help out Lame. Lame is gone, the man who was the hero of that previous round, already dispatched of. And now it's going to have to be Kalinka and Flarich holding on the bomb site. And, well, they're doing a pretty good job. With Problem there now to assist as well, they will be able to hang on and not even drop any more players after that. What a hold there from Kalinka. It looked like he was going to be in so much trouble after Flarich went down on the bomb site. Obviously, the crossfire worked out for the initial trades, but yeah, managing to just tuck in, waited for Problem to come in from heaven as well, and they hold strong. 9 to 6 is looking a lot more likely right now. Obviously, another full gun round, nothing lacking. There's no op. They haven't really been looking to bring that out here on the T side, which makes sense with the style they've been showing us. But there is 2 on the side of Hellraisers. Problem's going to be on that secondary one.
Big clue for the last round of the first half, but I don't mind it. Of course, economy of no consequence after this one, and it's not something they've brought out yet in this half, so potentially a little unexpected, but with the vent drop, the perfect counter may have just come in. Kalinka's looking for the immediate backstab, and in amongst the chaos, Stododo, no idea the noises behind him were foe rather than friend, just does incredibly well to trade out the first man, but this is where problem for the first time, that second AWPing position could really cause some havoc. Lame has been spotted out initially. They should at least be able to get the bomb down, but a lot of damage being transferred. The nades to follow up as well, bringing Arky desperately low. He's trying to take the fight to the AWPer, trying to buy time for Muteris on the backstab, but it's Gospodarov. He finds the pick, and surely with that makes this round viable for Hellraisers.
Yeah, I mean, a couple nice shots being connected could still turn things around, but no, a couple nice shots being connected for Hellraisers just goes ahead and confirms their grip on the round and, well, probably their grip on the half. 9-6, it'll be decent. Obviously, with the initial 5-0 start they had, Saw are still going to be really happy with the overall recovery they had, but they've slowed down a little bit towards the end here, and that's a positive for Hellraisers, taking back some of that momentum. It should be Flarich's kill. Yeah, not going to struggle at all as he's able to take down Just, and there we go, 9-6 at the halftime. It's still going to be tough. Hellraisers, they need to try and get going again early on this T side. Otherwise, they are going to struggle with Saw, of course, having woken up. But we're going to have to wait and see, guys. First of all, we do have to send it over to a break.
It gets me high, high, high. Got no time to waste. Ain't got time for small talk. I tell you the truth. I'm faster than you. I'ma tell you the truth. Not in it to lose, just faster than you. Look into my eyes, I'm not afraid. Take over my mind till it fades. Like a medicine, it keeps me safe. This neon lights lead the way. Ain't got time for small talk. I tell you the truth. I'm faster than you. I'ma tell you the truth. Not in it to lose, just faster than you. Faster than you. I tell you the truth. I'm faster than you. I'ma tell you the truth. Not in it to lose, just faster than you. I tell you the truth. Just faster than you. Just faster than you.
Glasses on, my hoodie's right. Break the door, give me side eyes. Are you feeling yours? Cause I'm feeling mine. Slide back to the future, got my own time. It's sipping dope to feel right. Got my own high, don't need no lies. Sneaky bitches never ever act with zone eyes. Alright. You can tell me nothing. Come back when you got something to say.
We are back, boys. Of course, at the end of that first half, we did see Hellraisers coming back to life a little bit. But of course, initially, they went up 5-0 on that CT side. We had Saw overall managing to recover back up to 6 rounds. And, well, it's looking still pretty indecisive, I would say, here at the halftime. This pistol round is going to have quite a lot of weight to it, Wolfie.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with Hellraisers, in all honesty. I thought Saw coming into this, their map pick, a map they do lean towards with a lot of consistency. It was going to be a lot more one-sided, but Hellraisers, They put up a fight on their CT side, and I think most importantly for me, they showed that they can come back into a half, right? Flying start, 5-0, a little bit of back and forth as Saw do start to find their feet. And at that point, I'm sat there going, okay, this is where Saw really start to stretch their legs, 5-0 to 6-6. They're building their half. They're getting some momentum behind them. But HR, they found the response. They made it happen. Lame on the Deagle, pulling off what was one of the best plays, I think, of the season so far.
Yeah.
And now, well, it's all to play for on Nuke.
Yeah, I mean, if he didn't get that, they probably still could. They could have been on the other end of this 9-6, or maybe even a little bit of a worse position. So it was a big time for them to be able to step up, rather. And as you said, definitely one of the better plays we have seen. Are we going to be getting that out of him and his fellow teammates now here on the T side is the question. Are we going to be getting Saw stepping up on their defensive side? And, well, we don't have to wait much longer to find out, because we are getting back into the pistol round. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty quick one. Hellraisers, they blow the door off. They start most of the players straight out through the hut. And, well, it's going to be just on the bomb site to try and hang on. He does have some help from Roman, who drops down behind them and manages to catch 2 headshots. And with a bit of assistance from Stododo, they are in a 2-on-2 as the situation quiets. But it's with the health slightly favoring Hellraisers, and it's with them now moving it down towards B.
At the very least, Stododo does have the defuse kit, but no utility picked up behind it. Low HP, going to be very difficult to deal with. Stododo goes for the early peek, but he's going to be taken down. And now Arky left with the big clutch. A lot of damage found onto Problem, but if he plays the headshot angles intelligently, he can bait perfectly into this double peek, doing exactly that. Arky able to find one, but Gospadarov is there. Opens his account on the pistol, finds the critical round, and, well, we said that pistol could be telling. And Hellraisers, they've managed to get it on the board once again.
Yeah, we'll see whether they convert it as cleanly, whether they're able to get the start with the first gun round on the half as well going in their favor. If they do here for a second time, then it's going to be tough for Saw to get back on their feet. But yeah, they've gone for the force buy here, trying to make it work on their own. If that doesn't, then we'll have to see that first gun round going the way of Saw. It's just going to be the straight up A-rush again. It's very heavy on the SMGs, so a few nades, of course, being available for that push that's coming in, but the firepower is a bit more even as the pistols show us what they're able to do. Great shots again on those Deagles. It's not quite as crisp with the headshots, but they've managed to come out with the numbers in their favor. They don't need Flarich and Problem to try and save the situation, and, well, has Stododo been spotted? He's currently in the smoke, so I don't believe so. So he might even be able to catch Problem as he gets that bomb down, and indeed he does. A bit of damage as he falls, though, leads to his eventual death there, but it doesn't matter. Arky had confirmed the info that Flarich was sitting below, and he rips his head off at a scout. There we go.
Deagles, man. Deagles, they need a nerf. 2 shots to the chest, looking absolutely clinical. You lent into it, said that HR brought a lot of SMGs into the round. They took the fight up close and personal, but the spammy Deagle, just so effective at that sort of range, right? The ability to just point it roughly at center mass, spam that left mouse button and find yourself some frags. Get Saw on the board. Gets them the big recovery. Rome going to be a little bit fortunate with the wallbang headshot as the trades do start to come in down towards the ramp, but with the frags, the damage already on the board. It's just Stododo starting to mop things up. Last man alive is lame. Not enough health to withstand a shot from the scout. And Saw, well, as quickly as it fell apart, they're starting to build it back up once again. 3 players kept alive, 3 rifles kept on the board. And off the back of another Deagle misfortune, Saw are going to build themselves an entry into this half.
Yeah, it was a bit more of a team effort on that Deagle round as well. It wasn't just one man stepping up like we had Lame doing. And, well, as you said, it gives them an opportunity to get things going much, much earlier on the second half, which is, for me, a bit worrying for HR for sure. But we did see them, as you mentioned, managing to step back up after losing a few gun rounds even on that previous half. So we know that they're not always down and out. They can get back into those situations. But we'll see how obviously losing to the force buy has affected them now with it being the eco that's coming through. Aiming for the guns here in the next one. And at that point, if they are to lose that gun round, suddenly things are tied back up. So yeah, we have a game that could very easily still go either way right now. So I'm hyped by the matchup that we're getting. A very slow approach though. There's a few Deagles who are trying to work these picks on outside, or rather one Deagle in the hands of Kalinka, but he's just not really being given any peeks. And that's fair, because Saw don't need to give any info over to them. Eventually you see one flash there that was with a peek then from Uterus. I don't think he actually seen anyone though, because I'm pretty sure Gospadarov and the other player were able to just tuck straight in. So there's still not a lot of info going for the CTs.
Feels like HR are waiting for a mistake to be made, trying to get any kind of opening pick, any information that they can work off the back of, and now they swing for it, but it's fallen apart. The idea looked sound, but Saw just up to the challenge, straight up winning their Angels, a 9th on the board. All 5 players kept alive critically. I mean, we saw it from HR initially, building up a fantastic CT economy, and Saw, they're looking to do the exact same here. Huge spray control from Roman to find himself the double, keeps the M4 in his hands. And well, if they can get over the hump of this first rifle buy for HR with a fair few players left alive, then Saw, they are really in with a shout in the second half. Starting to see why they went for this Nuke pick now, as HR again trying to go for that early trophy control.
Yeah, we're not going to see really any challenges from Saw, not peeking in from ramp. There is Arky just holding that headshot angle and could be a little bit dangerous. Gospodarov rather is moving in initially. I think he has problem ready for the swing from behind, but well, they take at least Arky off his initial angle now. They put some pressure on towards the ramp. They're forcing out quite a few of these nades in the early moments as well, and really just trying to make things a little bit more unpredictable before they do eventually make a move on. This is just the standard default. They're just probing everywhere, kind of similar to what you said even in that previous round. They're waiting on some mistakes to be made. And you know that potentially there is a couple of weapons, a couple of weaker weapons and stuff retained into this round, so you might be expecting some more aggression. But I mean, as we know, Saw more than capable of sitting back, playing this alongside each other, conserving some of those nades as well, and just taking the more tactical approach rather than the aggressive, proactive one. Oh, they're well capable of that as well. But that's the thing, they're able to swap it up and make it very unpredictable. And time's becoming an issue.
35 seconds left on the clock. No real control to speak of. It looks like HR just going to straight queue up for this hit down into the B bomb site. Arky, I think he spotted a man out there. He fell immediately off of that angle, not interested in the contest at all. Calls for the supports. Stododo on the AUG, straight through the smoke for the opener. Grabs himself the second and the third. Stododo locking it down on the B ramp. And we said Saw can bring the individual firepower. They are doing it once again. Nothing Flaric can do except desperately try and hold on to this AK-47. The economy will be reset pretty hard for the T side. You don't see it too much these days, but there's not going to be a lot coming into this next round. Because once again, I mean, you've got to be trading that frag, right? It's simple stuff. Stododo, he gets one. That should be it. He's got to be done from that situation. It's a nice pick through the smoke, but as this second man swings, the support just a split second too late from problem. And yeah, again, falls apart at the seams. Saw really starting to show up individually when it matters most. And the pause, I think it's necessary from HR. They need to start building something into their T-side half.
Yeah, as you said, I'm not exactly sure how they weren't able to come out with the trade right there. You say half a second too late on the peak, and yeah, that's probably the case. But even half a second later, and I think he also then would have got it. He was just kind of in the middle ground where there was enough time for Stododo to flick back over and still be ready for him, even though he was caught off guard by both of those players who peeked him on the left side. He had no idea they had already gotten in so close. So yeah, it looked like he shouldn't have got away with as much as he did, but Stododo holds strong, and well, with that, Saw indeed have tied things back up at 10-10. There's one AK on Flaric. Ironically, the team was Flaphor, so they weren't able to get much of a buy behind it, and it's just going to be a few pistols. Again, Wolfie, apologies for the terrible jokes. I've just got to do them.
You know, it's bad when I've genuinely just completely drowned them out. Hear that one, my brain's just put you on mute, but...
That's what I'd do if I was you, so I can't blame you. Oh, any counter spam? Probably not. Doesn't want to give away his position there. And they have a good setup on B. They've got 3 players ready for this.
Really nice rotations in, and yeah, I think HR again relying on the mistake rather than the proactivity, right? They're going to start to commit the util out, hope they can sneak this bomb onto the site for a plant, but the advanced position not going to be expected at all. Pivots for the second, and still no trade available. All 3 remaining players stuck in towards Decon, aware that they can't really peek the angle whatsoever. They'll try and swing out. They'll try and get something done, but with Muterus finding 2, Flaric, a sole frag on the AK, all HR have to offer. And once again, I mean, as much as we were praising the CT side of HR, this T side, it's falling just a little bit flat. Saw seem to have fantastic reads on the situation. Arky in the perfect spot at the perfect moment. And again, trading very efficiently for the CT half.
Yeah, that's just absolutely great work there by Saw. I mean, you've got to say credit on the read. They had that 3-man stack obviously in place, but we had some rounds where HR on their CT side had that 3-man stack in place on B and just got completely overrun by Saw anyway. So it does come down to those shots being connected as well, and I think just so far here on the T side, we're not getting any of that from Hellraisers. which is going to obviously be a problem, and well, already has been as they've conceded that lead over towards Saw. Again, this is the map choice of Saw. Train up next, one that should be a lot better for Hellraisers, but by no means is one that Saw are incapable of playing. As you said, they've just been together for such a long time that they have that wide map pool. Mirage is really the only map that they don't play. Everything else, yeah, they're fine to take you on it.
One of the perks of having a roster that has been together for such a long time, you inevitably end up learning 6 of the 7 maps, right? There's always a perma ban, there's always something that somebody just straight up doesn't like, straight up doesn't want to play, but 6 maps in the pool makes it very difficult for these rosters with recent changes to oppose you. Early outside smokes, however, getting the man down into secret early, in aggression from Kalinka, just trying to take the fight straight to them. Just does well on the trade, drops off and resets his angle as well, making it very difficult for him to be hunted down. There are some isolated CTs outside, and as Gospadarov deals with Just, it's Lame on the flank to find one more. Complete chaos once again, but Snadodo actually going to take advantage straight out of upper. He finds 2, should be traded, but Lame instead opts for the trigger discipline. He wants to try and find that second man. Surely knows the Heaven player is low HP. If he can trade out Arky, this round becomes viable, but he can't quite find it.
Oh.
Damage is there. I think he dinked him through the box,
yeah.
but he just can't quite find the conversion. Small margins, and Saw find themselves at 12th.
Yeah, it must have been the dink through the box, because he only had time to get the one shot off and brought him down to like 20-something right there. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate, but obviously Arky, he set himself up well. He knows the mechanics of the game, knows he can cover his head off on that angle right there and just give himself the tiny edge in the battle on top of the potential surprise element, which obviously didn't work out for him, but still the kill goes his way, the round goes the way of Saw, importantly, and it's 12-10. HR, they need to come back alive right now. Otherwise, this one is probably just going to be running away from them. As it looks like they do want to focus a little bit over towards ramp on Arky once this molly actually starts to, or smoke rather, starts to fade away. I said molly because he just tossed one in behind it, which definitely makes things a bit tougher for HR. More so just clears out that left side for Arky as he's getting flashed in. He wants to go forward and take the kills. We said they can swap things up and they can be a lot more proactive. It's just so hard to read when you're going to get it from them. And by the time HR do finally have that aggression come in, they're no longer ready to actually punish it. They've been completely caught off guard. They've been destroyed here in such an important gun round. And I don't know if Lame can get much done as Mutherus is ready for that peak. A 5-on-2 with Flarich being the only one who has any sort of decent health. This should be near impossible for them to pull anything back. Saw are just looking incredible right now here on the CT side, and well, they're not going to drop a single player. And look at the economy. It is, yeah, it's too easy for them right now on the CT side. It is smooth sailing. And HR pretty much need to win multiple gun rounds in a row already at this point in order to break them, and they're not going to be able to do it in this round anyway. So there's just another round of that economy being stacked up, and at that point, 14 on the board for Saw.
I don't know if it was intentional, but they pop flashed into 2 separate places pretty much at the exact same millisecond. So quick, the observing was only able to get 1 right. And I think if that is intentional, that's such, again, just a smart play from the experience of Saw. They know that if you drop 2 pop flashes, you take 2 fights simultaneously, there's going to be confusion in the ranks, right? Especially amongst the newer roster. You got 2 players screaming they're fully blind, 2 players calling aggression on 2 completely different sides of the map. It's going to be all but impossible to get those comms right. So really intelligent stuff again from Saw. This time, though, they have allowed Hellraisers down through secret, not look to contest despite the aggression up towards the red crate. Arky, well, he's dropped down very early on, going to be piled under a lot of pressure, and I'm not too sure he knows it just yet. Nobody else from the CT side has even committed to making the early rotation down. The door opening will mean Snadodo on that AUG starts to make his way back around, and now, oh, they just lined them up. It looks so good for a split second, but 4 frags in as many seconds, and well, Lame, he's got too many angles. There's no time at all. It's 14 for Saw. Again, just looking clinical on their CT side. 2 rounds away from taking their map pick, and realistically, HR have probably only got 1 more buy in them.
Yeah, if this one doesn't go their way, if they don't get a bomb plant at least, then they will be struggling on towards most of the players. They might have a little bit left over on a couple that could give them the investment alongside that full loss bonus. And yeah, Flarich and Lame would just about be able to pull out the rifles. But it wouldn't be enough. This is that last full gun round, as you mentioned, for them to try and get back on the board. They need at least 3 or 4 in a row before they break that economy of Saw, and then there's the loss bonus already going by that point. So yeah, it just needs to be flawless pretty much if they want to bring this back and win in the regulation. It's not going to be easy by any means. Roman playing around this smoke, was expecting maybe the drop to come in alongside the flash. It's not going to be happening. Instead, they actually focused on Garage, and they do catch Dodo, who was tucked in up close. Roman, though, they may overlook him. No, he's been spotted. Lame, yeah, was able to catch the shoulder. If he peeks back in now, he could be in trouble. Gets a few shots off, and actually trades damage in his favor and eventually takes a kill from it. But it's still the man advantage towards Hellraisers as that trade comes in.
This is where Saw really need to show us what they're made of. Heavy rotation, flanking towards the A-bomb site should be good for one as well. Arky clearing his way through these angles. He hasn't actually spotted Problem, though. This is one hell of a timing. He's aware of it, Problem, but he's going to be looking the wrong way at the wrong moment. Arky finds the frag. That will be the B-bomb site open for business. They know the B player has gone on the long flank, but a 3-on-3 retake, by no means a done deal. Good utility available for the CT side as well if they want to commit. Starting to toy with the idea is Muterus. He's dropped his way down these vents. All three players queued up towards the double doors, looking for the big double peak. Spotted out, and Kalinka deals with it. That surely should be the round. Arky doing all he can, but the pre-fire from Kalinka just too good. And Saw left in the 1v3. Does find himself the first peak. Got to deal with Gospodarov, though, and that angle, just a pixel to work with as he finds the frag on the AWP. HR not quite done with this game just yet.
No, it's a start for sure. We're seeing the buy obviously come back in. As I said, there will be money left over. Roman's actually spent all of his economy, so he'd have to be dropped in the next round. If that one didn't work out, then the following round, rather, for Saw, suddenly it's the eco, and you're maybe tied up at 14-14. So you can see the path to getting back into this for Hellraisers. It's just hard to get on the the track right now, I've got to say, to get on board with them until they're able to show that it's something they can replicate now, because they had been quiet for a long time. That's one round that goes their way, but obviously now we're sitting on a bit of a pause, and I wouldn't be surprised rather if this was from either side. HR could be taking and thinking, yeah, we got that round, but it was a close one, and we need to make sure we replicate the performance. And obviously Saw, on the other hand, could be like, yeah, let's make sure we actually put the nail in the coffin here before we give Hellraisers the chance to wake up, because they've got players who, when they wake up, really can be an issue, but we're just not seeing that consistently so far. Maybe they can prove us wrong right now. Are we going to see anything quick from them, or is it going to be something a bit more standard? And, well, yeah, a little bit quicker towards outside with a couple of nades tossed in. And, well, the attempted peek towards ramp rather from Gospodarov, but he has been punished, as we see Arky actually pulling out the op for the CT side.
The worst possible start from Hellraisers. They've really anchored around that ramp control as well. On numerous occasions, used it for a late rotation, trying to pile that pressure onto us, bringing the big green out. He gets the better of them on this occasion. Saw now with that man advantage can afford to sit back into what I'd call their default mode of Counter-Strike, right? Just playing the angles, playing the crossfires. Not so proactive, much more settled into their roles, and Roman does well from his to Dodo, and just there to trade things out, and Rome actually grabs another, as again, every round the CT side touches is just so clean. There's one frag in it from Hellraisers. There's an initial trade, but then there's nothing else forthcoming. Saw just all too quick to rotate in, all too quick to trade things out. And at 15-11, this last gasp buy comes in for HR. I mean, they scramble together what they can, sure. 2 AKs, 2 Galils. Kalinka has to drop down onto a Tech 9. And as the early rush comes in, Rome more than ready for it to find the opening pick. That's an AK gone already for Hellraisers in a round that surely is only going to get worse from here.
Yeah, and it's not one that's going to be retrievable either, with Roman even actually pushing true in towards the lobby, which should confirm that there's no lurkers around this position, allowing for them to rotate down already from the ramp. And I was going to say be in fantastic positions once the hit does start coming in, but that is a great pick from Lame. Nuke getting caught there, not expecting the late player to be coming from the spawn side still, and well, suddenly it's a 4-on-4, and with that kill coming in, now they don't exactly have the info of what's going on up above on outside anymore. They could still, in theory, be getting wrapped on true main and everything. So, yeah, they haven't been able to set up quite as well. Roman coming around should find out pretty soon that that's not the case. But are they going to be prepared now once this hit comes in? Arky's going to have to try and hold on. And with the op in the back corner in towards Dark, it can be tough to do. You just need to hit these shots. He might be given a chance soon, as actually now a smoke goes down, so that's going to definitely block off some vision. But they're taking their time. That's allowed for another 2 players to rotate down the ramp already.
For the rotations from Saw, you pointed it out, it's going to be so difficult for anything to happen for HR. Gospodarov and manages at least one, but with Arky still alive, the rotations coming in, it was never going to happen. it's Saw who take themselves the victory in map 1. We'll come back after a short break to the desk and try and work out what on earth went wrong.
We were caught in the fire. Our faith was left out in the open. Saw the fear in your eyes as we move through the dust. Nights turn into days, one by another. Under darkened skies, we await, bound to each other. But our spirits never die. Fighting as we push through the darkest times. I'll be there by your side. We arise. Everything's breaking. Our souls will awaken. Our spirits never die. At the end of the line, the trust in our hearts beating louder. Under darkened skies, we await, bound to each other. But our spirits never die. Fighting as we push through the darkest times. I'll be there by your side. We arise. Everything's breaking. Our souls will awaken. Our spirits never die.
All right, welcome back to the Esea Premier. A lot of nice highlights. You do see Saw pick up the win there right at the end, 16-11, but didn't really feel like an 11-round game for Hellraisers, if I'm honest. They took both pistols. That CT side was a complete shutdown there from Saw. I think they only lost 2 rounds there in the end, and one of them was the pistol, and you see Hellraisers get off to a 5-0 start, so what do you put that down to, Wolfie? I mean, we see a lot of games like this nowadays where, you know, because of the state of the economy, because pistol rounds are a big thing, you get a game that has a close scoreline, you go on HLTV, you see that old mates Hellraisers made it to double digits, but didn't feel like a close game to me.
Yeah, you've got to put it down to that CT side of Hellraisers. I think they looked pretty consistent over there. They were finding some good rounds. You know, we spoke about it in the halftime, how they were finding a decent comeback to go up 9-6 at the half, but only posting 2 T-side rounds on Nuke, that used to be almost expected at times for teams, right? You knew the T-side was awful. You knew it wasn't going to work out well. In this meta, that's just not acceptable, and Saw absolutely shut down everything that was coming their way.
Yeah, so how do you see Saw grind their way into a T side like that, Dean? I mean, a lot of the boys, pretty slow starts into this game, but they didn't look phased by it. Obviously, they're down 0-5. Most of the boys haven't even got a kill yet at that point in the half, but still they're able to do their due diligence and grind out those rounds. How have they done that?
Again, it's just the experience that they have together as a team. Those first few rounds, maybe they learned a few things from them that they were eventually able to adjust on. But the main thing to me just seemed like as soon as they got on equal footing in terms of what they had available in the buys, Saw were just a level ahead of them. We had, as you said, HR going up 5-0 initially, which was fantastic, but then we end up seeing them slowing down. I think it was brought back up to 5 for Saw before Lame gets that Deagle round, which brings them back alive on that CT side for the last few rounds. If we hadn't have seen that, if we hadn't have seen the 5-0 start, as you said, this would have just been such a one-sided map, and I feel like the scoreline, it doesn't do justice to how fantastic Saw did look throughout that game despite that slow start. And although I had initially said I thought we could be seeing the 3-map series, I don't know after seeing how flat HR just looked on Nuke right there.
Yeah, you did see some little moments there, Wolfie, from Hellraisers, where you're seeing some of the boys show off their individual skill, getting some good reads, getting some good multi-frags, and showing off some flourishes of sharp aim. Maybe if they're a little bit more comfortable on train here, will they have a little bit easier of a time, knowing that they will have to start out on that T side, which they did struggle on, but it's a different map this time.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for some optimism. I'm trying to find something that I look at and go, okay, HR could pull that across. I'm really struggling, in all honesty. I mean, Gospodarov, we spoke about him in the pregame. We said he needs to pop off. He needs to have moments with that orb. Yes, Nuke's a hard map to do it on, but he virtually wasn't there. A few missed shots here and there with an AWP, managed to close out, one round with it. If he continues in that sort of frame onto train, and can't bring a solid AWP, I think train, honestly, it's essential. You have to have one. Arguably, you really need to have two, right? You need some consistent AWPers to bring those initial frags, to put the pressure on. So I don't know, man. The only way I see it happening is if it turns out Gospodarov is some kind of god on train.
Well, it's sometimes hard to get into the game on train when you start out on that T side if you're the AWP player. However, we will have to go to a short break before we can work out whether Hellraisers can pick themselves up a map in this series and double up their wins here in the Esea Premier. Don't go away for too long. We'll be back soon.